Hello, hello, this is Patty Joe. I am having a wretched day, so I thought I'd come and spend some time with you guys, clowning on Hugh who cannot read the room. Let's continue with day 6 of the Durrell Brooks trial. Oh, I just left off there, didn't I? Pull up your cup of coffee. This is trying to be a mocha latte.
Thank you, be seated.
Do my scientific adjusting of the sound for me, which is just putting only one ear on. And try to get my grandson in here with me to watch some of this, see what he thinks. He's hilarious. I know you're confused, Daryl, but they're doing what's called working. Sometimes when you work, you have to do things like clean up after yourself, not like you do stomping across everybody's belongings, getting high and not having a real job or being productive at all. Oh my God.
We are back on the record. Then appearances are as they were
Shaking his
before.
dumb
State
head.
have their next witness available.
Yes, Your Honor.
I hate that when he acts like that, sitting there acting all, like put upon, like it's bothering him to be here.
All right, let's bring the jury back out.
Oh my gosh.
Don't consent to
What?
being called by the name that this court chooses.
So he didn't get to say his third party intervener BS. He's got to interrupt this. Look at him, like a kid.
Identify me by. I want to state for the record that I'm here as a third party intervener on special appearance on behalf of my client. Can that be noted for the record?
It was noted this morning.
May it be noted again for the record so that we can keep the record clear and accurate.
He is the only one who doesn't want this record to be clear and accurate. If it were clear and accurate, they would be able to trot every person that he has ever hurt right through this courtroom. All the people he's stolen from, all the people, I don't know if he stole. I don't think he got convicted of it. But everybody, Erica, all the times he hit her in the past and committed those crimes, all of those things would come in. All of his history would come in. Not paying any of those people child support, not doing any of the court order. All of that would be on the clear and concise record. But no, Daryl wants on the record for it to be clear that he's not Daryl, so he shouldn't be put in jail. Oh my God. Oh my God.
The appearances are
as they were before.
They are no different.
Oh God.
Bring the jury out.
And we have yet to address subject
Matter
matter
jurisdiction.
jurisdiction.
Oh.
I still haven't been shown any verified proof.
Even though she did something she doesn't have to do, which is explain on the record subject matter jurisdiction, which is he committed the crimes in this jurisdiction. This court has jurisdiction over this area for these types of cases, and that proves jurisdiction. And she put it on the record, and she continues to hand it to the beast. But that's not what he wanted to hear. He's like a child that just keeps asking. You know what? I did it all wrong as a parent. I'm not gonna lie. I did everything I did wrong as a parent. But people now that I'm older, they ask me, well, what would you do if they're having a temper tantrum in the store? Now, the reason why they asked me this was this lady's child was having a tantrum, and she was just trying to console her. I was like, okay, ma'am, let me help you out here for a second. Child's not going to get hurt. I said, stand back here. I said, now watch this. Look at that child. Look at that child having a tantrum. Isn't that a shame? Let's just wait here until they go, and just stand there until they calm down. There's nothing you can do to stop this. And that's why I think I have a little bit of compassion for the judge. She can do nothing to stop this tantrum. He just wants what he wants when he wants it. And if you don't give it to him that way, he's going to keep asking just like a 2-year-old.
That
All rise.
this court has subject matter jurisdiction. And at this point, may I request an affidavit that you, Your Honor, have no bias, no conflict of interest, and no interest in the outcome of this.
Are we priming up for the 50 minutes? Okay, we're going to have to break this down into pieces because I've got some crisis, some dumpster fires happening in my life. But I think we're priming up for the 50 minutes. Oh, buckle up. Buckle up.
Mr. Brooks, the jury's coming out. We'll address your legal issues later, if I deem them appropriate.
Judge, do you hold the full
Mr.
judicial
Brooks,
power of the
please,
state, or is this the military
All right, can
power?
you please take the jury out?
He just cannot let this proceed. He's unable.
Do you hold the full
Mr. Brooks, just
jurisdiction?
wait till the jury's out, please.
Does he think if he interrupts the whole
I will.
process
I will.
that everybody's going to forget the evidence? Let's watch him have his temper tantrum. This is the first major one, yeah? Can't wait. I'm kind of excited.
Everyone else can be, you all can be seated. Mr. Brooks, just make your statements. What do you want to advise the court today?
I want to first state again for the record that I do not identify by that name, nor do I consent to being called that name. Your Honor, with all respect, I'm merely asking you, do you have the full judicial power of the state, or is this military power?
I'm sorry? I don't understand what you're asking me.
Let me translate that. What in the actual F are you talking about?
Sorry.
I'm asking,
He doesn't know.
is
And on what
this,
legal basis are you making that request?
I'm asking for the record, is this a common law court or an
He doesn't
admiralty
know.
court?
He doesn't know. He doesn't know what that means. Because he's
What are
not
we in
really
here?
sovereign. You know,
And
Daryl Brooks makes me respect the people who act like that sovereign citizen stuff. That he makes me have a little respect because dumb as that may be, and as terrible as that may be, at least they actually believe it. He's just doing this to try. He will do anything to save his own skin. People used to ask me, as far as specifically mentally ill, because there's a lot of cloud and judgment around that. And was I afraid to have mentally ill people in the back of the medic with me, closed in, all by myself? A lot of times, stronger, bigger, stronger men, right? And I'd be like, no, because there is really only one. A narcissistic is part of it, an obsessive is part of it. That whole, they will do anything to make you do something, do this thing. That's when it gets dangerous. That's when it gets dangerous. When they have no ability to say, I'm me and you're you. Let's watch it. Let's watch it go.
Requesting an
It's
affidavit
like a dumpster fire being
that you, Your
lit.
Honor, have no bias, no conflict of interest, or no interest in the outcome of this case. And the reason why I want to state this clearly for the record, mainly is because of the bias that's been shown. I have not been getting any certified copies of any requests that I've made, which I was told by this court to address inmate communication forms for anything that I may need. I've done that. I've complied with that. Every time I've needed something of the court pertaining to documents, I've done it the way the court has asked me. And I've always stated that I wanted everything to be certified. I have yet to even get that. My court docket sheet was not a certified copy. When I asked Your Honor of your oath of office.
From what I understand, I don't know what a court docket sheet is or any of the crap that he's asking for. First of all, my son's been in trouble a couple of times. The only thing we ever wanted from the court was the paper that said we were done doing what we needed to do. That's the only thing we ever wanted. We didn't give a hoot about anything else. The second thing is anybody can get a transcript of this record. You just go and purchase it. But he's expecting a certified, time-stamped, notarized, I don't know what. And he keeps bringing up these things that are, how is this defense? And if it's certified, does it make it more of a defense? What is he talking about? A lawyer, Daryl, a lawyer. Read the room, Daryl. I kind of wanted to count how many times he repeated himself. Let's see if we can keep up.
I asked for that to be certified. You stated for the record that you would not give me a certified copy of your oath of office, which you are required to show if I ask for it. I've brought up
why don't you ask for nail clippers?
Constitutional right that has been pretty much discarded.
I'm sorry, you should do this.
And
why don't you ask for
that
some
is
nail
based
clippers?
on the fact that I have the right to face my accuser, which would be the plaintiff, state of Wisconsin, in this matter. They have yet to show that a claim is I mean, a living human being can only make a claim. An entity cannot make a claim. I've requested for the complaint to be provided. The complaint from November 23 of 2021. The amended complaint from November 29th of 2021. The second amended complaint from January 12 of this year, 2022. I have yet to see those. There was no record of a bond in my docket sheet. I asked for that to be verified by proof. That hasn't been provided.
I'm going to pause this.
There's so many.
This is an emergency. My friend's daughter had a medical emergency. Okay, now we can let's go back to his dumb request.
Biases, clear biases, and questions.
Did we notice that every time he says he backs up and adds the word clear and obvious, that the next thing out of his mouth is always 100% a lie, every single time. He's got the liar lines, okay, and if it's clear and obvious, it's a lie. It's a lie. They just keep getting bigger and bigger to it. Right?
That are not being asked.
I'm not being
based
axed.
on judicial determinations made by Your Honor.
That's her job.
You look at the discrepancies, and I think they're clear. I think at minimum I deserve for the subject matter jurisdiction to be verified.
I told you. See, it was clear. It's clear. And then subject matter jurisdiction, which he knows is a lie. He knows it's a lie. For the past 20 years of this man's life, he has been stomping through life, committing crime after crime after crime, running from the police, dodging the police, not doing what the court said, all of these things. he's never questioned subject matter jurisdiction in any of those cases. He was in a documentary many years ago in Nevada when he was in jail, probably for the crime he committed against Erica Patterson. When he was in this little documentary about drugs and drug addiction, and he was probably using. Some people theorize that he's not a true addict. An addict is not about the drugs or taking the drugs. If you take them off the drugs, they're still an addict. Okay? It's the behavior. It's kind of like anorexia is not about the weight. It's about the obsessive behaviors and the twisted mindset on the food, because that's the only thing they can control. It's all kind of our mind's way of coping with whatever we can't or whatever we've not learned to. I don't want to defend him in any way, but he is an addict. Just because he's not altered by the drugs right now, he's just shifted that to this other control thing. He has no ability to let go. I see this every day because I deal with addicts a lot.
I've raised that issue numerous times, pretty much every day, every time I come before your court, Your Honor. I address that, and it has yet to be proven. My filings have been disregarded, even though they've been filed into the record, even though they've been time-stamped.
Because they're meaningless.
I haven't got the original copies of any of them, which I'm supposed to get.
This is like the crap that your kid brings you. And you have to have him explain the picture, and then you slap it on the refrigerator like it's important. What do you want, Daryl? God.
As we sit here today, I'm still not even understanding the nature and cause of the charges. That hasn't even been proven. Can that be provided in any way? I'm basically sitting here confused because I don't understand why these proceedings are allowed to continue when there's so many things that have not been provided. They haven't been provided in my discovery. They haven't been provided to me by
Daryl, there's some boxes next to you. Daryl, he who cannot read the room. Oh my God.
Being brought to my pod where I'm housed in the jail. I'm without so much information, valid information to this matter. And I believe that it should be verified and it should be proven for the record. And if not, I move for this case to be dismissed for failure to appear by the plaintiff and failure to state a claim for which relief can be granted. Everything that I'm saying, it has merit and it has validity. As we sit here today, I'm still being charged with charges that shouldn't even exist based on the testimony that we've heard for the last few days.
Because people who commit DV think that it doesn't count as an assault if they're not arrested for it. Okay. It's still DV. Just because he didn't happen to leave a bruise on her that time, the day before, he still hit her. He just thinks he's entitled to do these things. Ugh. Skin's crawling.
There's so many things left to still be proven. The prosecution team hasn't even proven that they're licensed to practice law in Wisconsin.
Another iconic Daryl Brooks cannot read the room moment. Daryl, you are the only one trying to be a lawyer who is not licensed to practice law. Everybody else in the room. Which is why you're asking for all of these dumb docket sheets and certified this, and none of this shit happens in any other case.
Are they haven't proven? Are they just bar association members, or do they have state issued licenses? That has not been proven, which I've raised that issue for the record. I'm not even sure if that was even recorded in the docket sheet. There's so many things, and Your Honor, you still haven't stated for the record if you have full judicial power of the state or is this military power. That hasn't been proven. Nothing has been proven. Not subject matter jurisdiction, not licenses to practice law. My Sixth Amendment right has been basically trampled over. No complaints have been shown. Neither of the three that I've requested, by the way that you told me to request them.
There's these boxes right next to you, Daryl. They're right there. And the complaints you're talking about explain the nature and cause of the charges. that
By inmate communication. Nothing is certified that I get copies of when I clearly ask.
Isn't that like a second or third time that he said that?
To be filed into the record.
So we're only 5-10 minutes into this.
To the point
we're
where
already repeating.
Your Honor.
Oh God, no.
You should recuse yourself from the presiding.
We should just all go home. We should all just go home, including me, because there's no charges here. There's no people who've said that I ran them over, right?
At this point, if you're not going to abide by the oath that you swore,
oath, only oath in the room, Daryl,
which was in your oath, correct? You swore,
oh Lord,
to protect the Constitution of the United States. You swore to protect we the people.
We the people.
That is not being done here. If every valid argument that I raised is taken by the court as a sign of disrespect or
that's a valid, if it's clear, obvious, and valid.
Sign of trying to intentionally be disruptive or causing a problem.
Yeah.
When I'm merely seeking understanding because I don't understand. I'm merely seeking to understand why this information has.
Did anybody pick up on this before? Because it's the first time that I've picked up on this. Remember when sovereign citizens won't submit to saying they understand because they think it means they're standing under another person. Okay, when it just means a comprehension of concept. So it's dumb on the surface. You don't even have to dig deep to find the dumb here. But he refused to say he understands in any of the colloquies or whatever they call them. He refused to say he understands the charges, which he completely understands the charges. But here he uses the word understand 100 times. So it's the narcissistic semantic thing. Did anybody else pick up here? I didn't make the connection till now. There you go. There's me being dumb again.
Yet to be provided, and we're this far into this matter.
Slow.
And there's still no verified proof. Even as I sit now saying this, there's still no proof being provided.
But he's the one verifying.
Zero.
He verifies it, not her.
How is this case allowed to continue without these documents and filings being verified?
By who? You?
Is there any legal factual basis that can state why this information is?
Yeah, the state has spent the last 5 days proving and verifying why you're there. I believe.
Has not been provided. Why the docket sheet is?
It's like the Wizard of Oz.
Incorrect.
The Wizard of Dumb.
Why there's so much on the docket sheet that should be on record.
Don't look over here. Don't look over here at the evidence, jury. Just nullify. Just nullify. Don't look. He's the wizard. I was gonna call this something, but I think I'm gonna call it the Wizard of Dumb. There we go. I'm gonna write it down so I don't forget because I'm slow. Thank you.
Record that's not even in there. That if we had the recordings of the record, they would see was brought up numerous times. That doesn't even show up.
What are you talking about?
I'm just asking for Your Honor to be fair, which is another right that I have: the right to a fair trial and the right to an impartial jury. I can go on and on and on about what's not being done. I have, again, I say I have the right to face my accuser. Where's the injured party?
Second or third time?
Who's making the
Second or
claim?
third?
I asked Your Honor numerous times.
Several people have been the victim, have been injured specifically, or testified on behalf of their children who were injured. Witnesses. Some of these charges, you don't have to actually hurt the person to be charged with it.
For Your Honor's name, you wouldn't answer. I asked, did you have a claim against me? You did not answer. I asked the whole courtroom, did anyone have a claim against me?
Yes.
No one said anything.
Yes.
Which you stated for the record, a non-responsive answer. A non-responsive answer is an agreement, which would be a tactic agreement by you, Your Honor, that you don't have to answer these questions that you should be answering. I have that right. The plaintiff in this matter, which was stated by witnesses in testimony to be the state of Wisconsin. But when I asked, do they see the state of Wisconsin present in the courtroom, the question is shut down, which is a valid question. The plaintiff should be present in this matter. Where is the plaintiff? Who's bringing the claim? Because we know an entity can't bring a claim. It has to be a living, breathing human being. No one is stated for the record if they're the injured party. Not Your Honor, not the prosecutors, not anyone in the court has stated to be an injured party in this matter. No one. Not one person. I have the right to demand that the court place in the evidence any unrevealed contract.
What?
Has that been provided to me? Have that been placed in the evidence? I would like to see it, which is my right. I have the right to inform the jury about the truth and their duty.
He's talking about the nullification here. Now, I've seen a couple of different legal or explanations of this. And yes, juries can disregard, and in the case where I was a juror, we could have, and I was this close to being with everybody else on it with her, because the defendant was so approachable, understandable. Her frustration with her neighbor, which it was a neighbor's dispute. Her frustration with this neighbor, who, by the way, reminded me so much of my ex, who is a complete narcissist, would reinvent the truth. It's not even lies anymore. It's reinventing the truth. And if you didn't live in this fantasy world of reinvention of the truth, then the hellfire would come down on you, just like Daryl does. And this guy literally lied on the same. It was disgusting. He was a disgusting neighbor. He parked his boat and trailer on this woman's lot where her house had burned down and she was unable to rebuild. So all she owns is this lot now. This is her asset. And he, just because she's not using it as a place where she was able to build a house, it's not a new parking lot for him. But he used it that way. And then he said, no, I never parked on her property. There were pictures. Even his wife was shaking her head at him. He was just not likable. Unfortunately, she went a tiny bit over the line with what she did with the boat. Just a little bit. If she had moved it into the alley, if she had shoved it into the middle of Ritchie Highway, I would have been able to. But she hooked it up to her own truck herself, her own 70-something self, and drove away. It was on video. It was glorious. I was actually rooting for her, and drove away. But then she didn't remember where it was. She drove it over the city line, and this city is not someplace where you want to just randomly park anything. I used to be upset about parking my car there because I would see other cars parked just 24 hours and little pieces gone off, like wheels or the doors. Oh my God. Yeah, just a little too far. But no, you can't, the jury does have the power, but you can't argue for that. The defense attorney in the case where I was a juror, that attorney couldn't say, this lady, everybody can understand her frustration, and this guy's a big fat liar. She couldn't do that. She couldn't do that. It's not fair. That's not
In their
fair.
rights. That's the First Amendment and the Sixth Amendment. But I'm
Jurors
repeatedly
aren't
told
stupid. They know.
to shut the question down when this is valuable information that the jury should be privileged to know. They deserve to know. Once they were chosen to sit on this.
I'm sorry. The only thing the jury wants to know is what he's looking right to the camera. Look at him. The only thing the jury wants to know is why were the shackles not used. That's where this jury feels cheated. When they were really shock shackles and they weren't used, I want my money back.
Jury, why are we keeping information away from them that they deserve to know?
That you want them to know.
They ultimately
God,
have the power. They decide the matter. Why are we keeping information, valuable information, from their knowledge? That's a disservice to the jury. And frankly, it's a disservice to the court that they're not allowed to hear things that they should know, that they should be informed
that I
of.
want them to know.
It's all right
with my uncut fingernails.
to inform them of everything that they have the power to know, to do, and to know. They deserve that much. It would be a travesty for them to make a decision without being fully informed. And these are all valid things. I have the right to protest and object if any of my rights or demands are not being met. I've done that numerous times, only to be shut down.
Doesn't that mean that we can go like places and make signs and stuff, that the right to protest and object, not in the courtroom yelling and screaming in the middle of somebody else's sentence?
Numerous times. I've raised the issues that I didn't consent to anything that may have been suggested on behalf of my former attorneys. I've never even
So we're repeating this.
consented to them making a plea on my behalf.
Okay, and that's what he said, that contract thing. I think that's what he said. That now we're coming around to at least 2 and 3 times on rerun here.
I haven't, as a matter of fact, when it comes to a plea, I haven't even had the opportunity to entertain any plea that may have been suggested by the prosecutor.
Like 100%, if he had pled guilty, the sentencing would not have included 6 consecutive life sentences with 700 some odd years. So, I mean, no, he would have never gotten out of prison. I don't think he was going to get 20 years and then and a chance to get out. But it would not have, but the sentence would have been something like no possibility of parole and then, some thing, and that was it.
We haven't even talked about that.
There's no reason to do that in Wisconsin. You don't have the death penalty.
Not one time was it ever brought to my attention that the prosecution even wanted to offer a plea.
Because they're not going to let you out of prison. Because they would.
That's another issue.
I'm guessing, in my mind, that would have been the only possibility to consider pleading guilty. Because if you're a guilty person, guilty of this style of crime, and you're in a state with a death penalty, the reason to do it is to take the death penalty off the table, and the sentence would be something where you get to live out your life at least in prison. But here in Wisconsin, my understanding is there is no death penalty in that state, which means his aim is to be out of prison. This is what he wants. He doesn't want to go to jail. He don't want to go. And it's Daryl.
I have the right to challenge the jurisdiction of this court, which I've done numerous times. I have the right to demand that the code be construed in harmony with the common law. I just raised that. I'm constantly referred to as pro se when I've raised the issue that I'm pro per. I have the right to conduct my defense pro per, free from professional restrictions imposed upon licensed attorneys, which this court is well aware that I am not a licensed attorney. In fact, the court is also aware that I only had 3 days to prepare for a trial that the prosecution has been prepared for a whole year.
Prepared.
We see these boxes right here. This box alone is 45 or 50 pounds.
He does see the boxes. I thought perhaps all of this complaining about how he wasn't informed of any of this shit is because he didn't see any of those boxes.
Full of so much information. I haven't even gone through half of it.
But you were there. You committed the crimes. You should know exactly what they say. It was stated for the record that
the discovery, in its entirety, was brung to my housing unit on the 29th of September, which trial was scheduled, that would be a Thursday, which trial was scheduled for Monday. How can I possibly go through all that, all the paperwork, all the digital discovery? And
everybody was wondering about this gentleman in the back, how he stayed so stoic. I think I know. I have a theory. He has thumbtacks in his shoes. And whenever this is just too much, he wiggles his foot just a little bit to make that thumbtack scratch him, to distract him from all of this. That being said, we're all watching it voluntarily.
And things of that nature. How can I go through all of that and be prepared in 3 days? That's a clear bias.
Because
I did not have time to
crimes.
prepare for this. Everything I'm doing is off the top of my head.
You have intimate knowledge of the crime.
Taking it as it comes.
That's why.
When the court is well aware that I was not prepared, I raised the issue that it should be an adjournment, at least. At the minimum, it should be an adjournment because of that fact.
The minimum.
At least
if not
to
a
let me go through all
and
the
a recusal and a dismissal of the charges that I don't understand.
No valid reason was stated for that when Your Honor knew there is no possible way, humanly possible, that I could be ready for a trial of this magnitude in 3 days. That's clear bias.
Clear. It's clear.
I have the right to face the injured party claiming damages.
My
That's
God.
under Article 3 and the 6th Amendment. I raised that issue again. Where's the injured party?
That's like the fourth time.
Is the injured party present in court right now? Can anyone make a claim against me? Can you make a claim against me, Your Honor? Do you know if anyone that can make a claim against me, Your Honor?
We're going to make it. We're going to try to do this.
Can anyone right now in court, anyone, make a claim against me? And because of that, Your Honor, the motion to dismiss should be granted.
Granted. Like
based on that alone. There's no injured party in this matter.
To dismiss?
So who makes the claim?
Wait a minute, what?
Who?
You did what? With who? Like that little thing they do on those social media sites. What? Who?
I have the right to put the judge on notice of my intent to appeal.
Okay,
any
so
ruling decisions during the case. You stated for the record that I would have to wait until appealing process, but my right is that I can raise that issue
go file the appeal
during the case.
So go
which
do
I've
it.
attempted to do. That's been shut down.
He just wants somebody to do it for him. Oh, look at them. So terrible. So terrible, Daryl. We're all with you now.
I have the right to specifically reserve all of my rights, which I do at the beginning. I have the right to say what I want and to be heard under the First Amendment.
I can say whatever I want.
When I attempt to do that, it's taken as a slight to the court, a disrespect.
When
to
I
the
say
court,
whatever I want,
intentionally coming into
people say I'm
the court
interrupting
to be
them.
disrespectful, which I've stated that is not my intention. Never is it my intention.
I could never have sat in the courtroom. I would have been exactly the way I'm acting right now. Talking over him, laughing right in his face. Can't do it. Can't.
I never intend to walk into your courtroom, Your Honor, and be disrespectful intentionally. I never come into this courtroom to disrespect anyone. But because I don't understand, I raise these issues.
What's he chewing
because
on?
They have validity.
What's wrong with his mouth? We all thought his hairline was the problem, you know, with the island here seceding from the continent, and the little thing in the back that we can't see. It's there. But what the heck is wrong with his mouth? That's why he had that mask on. He couldn't have two physical deformities.
I have the right to object to any statement made by the judge or the prosecution. I've done that and been repeatedly shut down.
Good.
Without a lawful explanation. I've repeatedly asked the court for a motion for a finding of fact to determine if things are being done legally. I've been denied that numerous times without merit.
Without merit.
Which is also my right.
Yeah, without merit is what you've asked for, yeah.
I have the right to recuse the judge at any time, which is also a right. I have the right to a speedy and fair trial.
Okay, so here's another point where he's going to talk out of both sides of his mouth. He just said, look at all these boxes with 50 pounds each of stuff that I only had 3 days. And now he's getting ready to say, but it wasn't a speedy trial. That's not fear. It's not fear. You're right, Daryl. Should go home. Take a shower.
By impartial
Cut your
jury.
fingernails.
I think it's safe to
Put
say
those
that my
locks
speedy
back
trial
in.
right has definitely been violated because
Clearly.
this matter has been taking place for roughly a year. Yeah. I've never consented to waiving anything related to a speedy trial. And if that was done, it was done without my consent or without my knowledge.
Then how would you have time to go through all those boxes, Daryl?
We're way past the speedy trial date.
Having a bad hair
Way
day.
past. When the
way past.
change of venue motion was brought up, I believe that was the first time I came before Your Honor in early March. I want to say March 11th of this year, when the change of venue motion came.
I've got some unfortunate news. Okay, change of venue is very expensive because I believe I've heard several places that, and even I think it was in this trial where she explains this, change of venue would have cost still these taxpayers plus the other taxpayers. So the amount of money it would have cost. Now, what is the benefit? So you do like the benefit risk, kind of like with your doctor and medication. So would you be more inclined to get a cleaner jury, a jury that wasn't like biased by any kind of news or anything? Daryl, you could have changed this venue to the North Pole. You could have changed this venue to Mars. And 1/5 of the evidence or less that they have presented so far, you would have still lost. There's no way. You're getting as fair of a, there's no benefit to the additional cost. So she was right.
Came into play. It was decided by Your Honor that wouldn't be decided until the 20th of June, I believe. That's over the 90-day mark right there for a speedy trial.
But then you don't have time to read your boxes.
That was denied and
oh my God.
I still don't understand how that was denied when it's clearly obvious that
big lie coming.
At minimum, the venue should have been changed based on the fact of the magnitude of the matter. There's no possible way.
Well, that's true.
Anyone in this county would not have some type of connection or some type of not.
I think the lie is he's proud of it being that much of a magnitude.
Knowledge, whether they were told something by someone that they may know. The news reporting alone, just that alone, there's no way that this trial should be taking place in Waukesha County. That's
why?
Obvious. That's obvious from
the
way the motion was presented, the coverage alone, the political campaign ads that plastered the defendant's face all over the TV
Harley
every single day. Every time a political campaign was brought up, it made reference to this incident. Every single time. The fact that people have children that go to the same schools in this county, that people may have worked with the same people in this county. You yourself, Your Honor, stated that you at one time worked with.
We're going to come up to something that I've got a lot of feelings about, so I'm just going to get them out right now. First of all, Daryl, you didn't try to undo somebody's life in a back alley where nobody was watching. You made sure there were cameras and that everybody was gathered to watch you commit your crimes. You did it in a place, I don't know what the population of Waukesha is, I bet I could look it up, but scientifically, I don't even need to do it. You did it in a place where that many people is probably a large percentage of the population. And then moving on, that the people affected by everybody at that parade encompasses over 50%, if not over 80% of that population in the county, not just in the city. So we're talking about exponentially. The rock you threw into Main Street of Waukesha, the boulder you dropped, made these people think this could be a terrorist attack. He is going to now say that because people know people who were affected, that muddies the water. And it can't possibly, if we're thinking people. And I have to say that, whether you agree or disagree with the death penalty, people in Wisconsin have decided, and that's where they've decided. And so they've thought about this. So, and this is what they've all decided. So they're thinking people. They're not dumb people. And she had knowledge of somebody that she's worked with in the past who was affected. And she reached out and gave her support, condolence, whatever it was that was appropriate. So she knew a phone number. Then he is going to say, well, if it was just a working relationship, he's going to imply that this relationship was dirty in some way. Just because every single thing in his life has been dirty in some way doesn't mean that I have phone numbers for hundreds of people that I've worked with that I don't have super personal relationship, but because we needed to get in a hold of each other, we naturally trusted each other. Daryl, nobody trusted you. Not even your friend, not even your mother. Okay. Soapbox, let's push it aside. I'm sorry, I'm babbling.
The father of one of the people that was injured in this matter. That is a clear conflict of interest right there.
Lie.
You also stated for the record that not only did you work with this father, but that at one time they may have donated to I don't know if it was to you becoming a judge or I would have to look through the docket, but you said it on the record that they donated money to a cause of yours. You also stated that when you had gained knowledge of the incident and that their family member was injured in the incident, that you reached out via phone. I don't recall if it was text message or an actual phone conversation, but you put that on the record. You also stated that the nature of your relationship was strictly professional. I don't know about you, Your Honor, but I've worked numerous jobs and I know what professional relationships is and personal relationships. I've never had the cell phone number of anyone that was a personal relationship saved to my phone that I could reach out immediately when I learned something. That would constitute a personal relationship of some kind. Whether hanging out from time to time, having a cup of coffee, or hanging out time for time, grabbing a beer, or hanging out from time to time, watching a game, or anything of that nature. It would definitely be more than just strictly professional. That was stated for the record.
Yeah, because you're a dirty.
Again, I go back to the Sixth Amendment again. In terms of,
I love how we're repeating ourselves again, so I don't mind even talking over him. I love how they don't lower themselves to his disgusting level. Ugh.
when I asked for the motion for the evidence motion that I raised, that was denied without any explanation. That would be strictly to place in the evidence any unrevealed contract. That's under the Sixth Amendment. Clearly, there's been repeated violations of my Sixth Amendment. We all know that the United States Constitution is the law of the land, period. It trumps everything.
Sovereign citizens. I have heard this enough to be able to understand, and tell me if I'm wrong. But yes, we have the Constitution. The 10th Amendment gives every state the ability to make their own. That's why Wisconsin doesn't have a death penalty. But now you want to go, right? No. Okay. So each state now has their own constitution. those laws actually do and can overtake. There you go. There you go.
We also know that any law repugnant of the Constitution is null and void.
Null and
We know that.
void.
There's still no basis for the motions being shot down. Why was I not granted the motion for finding a fact? Why did it take so long for me to be brought my entire motion for discovery?
Because you're in jail and they have to go through the boxes and make sure there's nothing in there that you can hurt yourself or other people with. So they have to look through all of that content. That's why.
Why was the motion to prove jurisdiction not verified? Why was the motion to dismiss the case for all the reasons I said not being granted? Which brings me to the motion to subpoena witnesses. I did everything that was asked of me by the court pertaining to those subpoenas. It was understood by the court that this is my first time ever having to do this. I didn't understand how to properly fill out the subpoenas, at which the prosecution volunteered that they would give assistance. The only assistance I received was for them to check to see if it was filled out right.
Yeah.
That was it. That doesn't amount to any assistance. I was still left to fill it out on my own, and then when I did that, corrections still had to be made, which would verify what I was saying. I don't know how to do this.
So you can get a lawyer. Here again, he's going to say something, and I'm wondering, and this is a question. I'm gonna throw this out to you guys. Okay, so he didn't want counsel. He wanted to represent himself, but he wanted assistance of counsel. He's going to say, I could have had somebody here to file my papers and to print stuff and to do stuff that I don't know how to do, but do it my way. So he wanted to be the lawyer, and he wanted like somebody who's a lawyer and knows how to do it, who would just do his bidding. When you hire somebody like that, you hire them for their expertise. He wanted to hire somebody or have somebody provided to him. Now, and they said no. But riddle me this. Could he not have paid for his own counsel of assistance? Could he have done that? So if you want somebody to do those things for you, hire them. He just wanted the prosecution to be his errand children over there. They didn't even need to do what they did. They were doing it to be fair.
But I still complied to what the court asked of me. And even then, there's a big old thing about the subpoenas. I can't subpoena the plaintiff in the case. Well, how can I not subpoena the plaintiff in the case when under the Sixth Amendment, I have the right to face my accuser, which is the plaintiff of the case?
Oh, he does. Trust me. We'll get there.
So how could the subpoena not be filed? And how could the plaintiff not be called to the witness stand?
Holy.
That begs the question of, does the plaintiff even exist? Which it was stated for the record that not only by a witness, a Detective Casey, that got on the stand and said on the record that is an entity, which is not a living, breathing human being. And then it was stated again by you on the record, Your Honor, that the plaintiff is an entity. So the question still stands. How can an entity bring a claim if it's not a living human being? So where's the claim?
The plaintiff. I'm not going to say
Will the plaintiff in this matter, the state of Wisconsin, be allowed to testify? Will they be allowed to be in the courtroom? No, they will not, because they don't exist. Therefore, the claim doesn't exist. For all those reasons that I just stated, the case should have been dismissed a long time ago. Once those issues were raised, this case should have been dismissed. And at the very minimum, it should have been dismissed because those still have yet to be proven. We're still talking about jurisdiction. That's been being asked for over a week. There's still no providing of license to practice law yet. Not even by you, Your Honor. Why was I not provided with a certified copy of your oath?
Did he just go back to the first page of his... Did I just miss something here? Did he just go back to the first page of this multi-page trash talk document?
Office.
Oh my God. He did.
Why would you not state the name that is on file with the Secretary
Could that be
of the State?
a married name?
I made reference the first time to the Secretary of the Treasury, and then you stated on the record that it's the Secretary of State, even though you knew what I was referring to when I asked.
And when she was joined or started working, she was
referred to your name tag. But that's not the name registered. We both know that. So why wasn't that proof verified? You gave me a copy of your oath of office, but it's not certified. So how can I verify that that is the true oath of office that you signed? How can I verify that it's valid? That's the reason why I asked for it to be certified, which you stated for the record you will not do that. You never stated any legal reason why. I have the right to ask for that legally.
Legally. Oh, Jesus.
I also have the right to call any witnesses to assist my defense, which is the main reason why I subpoenaed the plaintiff in this matter. I also have the right to challenge all relevant laws in this trial in terms of their intent, interpretation, fairness, enforcement, and whether they serve and protect the people. From my knowledge, the design of the statutes of the law was written.
Okay. He's getting ready to say something here. He's getting ready to say, by the people, for the people, all these legal things, the law, all of this was written for the common people to interpret. Okay. Then why are you complaining about not being a lawyer? Why are you complaining that you wanted assistance of counsel? Why are you complaining about all this stuff? You are actually, what he's actually going to try to say is that it should be interpreted by the people, by the common person. I'm the common. No, Daryl, first of all, there's a couple of things wrong with your theory. Number one, you're not the common person. You're trash, okay? You're trash. Your thinking is narcissistic, hedonistic, and twisted. And these concepts and theories and ethics is something you don't even, that doesn't even go down to your level. Okay. So people study for years philosophically about how to interpret and make things as open as they can. Laws don't cover everybody's circumstances, they cover the majority. Okay? And you're not even close to that circle. You are on the fringe of just being a little roach. So he's getting ready to say, but I'm interpreting this all for you. So you should just, thank you and let you go? Okay, let's listen to Dumb Daryl.
The common people to understand.
Understand.
So that would means
the
final determination or interpretation of what the law says comes down to the people.
Is what I think. He's shaking the tack.
You know this, Your Honor.
This.
Are you not a public servant?
Okay, I hate that. Okay, first of all, I was a public servant for many years. Okay, I wanted to work for the fire department. People who work for the fire department and police, they strive for that for years. They work for it. It's a physical, you have to physically get there. I worked out for a year before I was able to pass that test because I was older, basically. But still, I took classes, I worked with them, I volunteered, I did all of these things. People want to do this for years. They work to get there. Do not diminish those people's efforts by saying two things. Aren't you a public servant? And you work for me. I pay your salary. Okay, number one, I work for the public good. Your individual hedonistic trash is not what I work for. Okay? If you want to get drunk, go to a bus stop, pee your pants, and then demand that I carry you to the medic unit to take you to the hospital ER for nothing because all you are is drunk? No. It's my job and I'm going to do it. But I'm not like some mule for you. You are diminishing all of the hard work that they do to do those things and to help out. Stopping behind somebody with a flat tire so they can help in the rain. Okay? Stopping to do certain things. Do some of them do the wrong thing? Have I done the right thing every single time? No, because I'm human, I'm a person. But don't diminish our public service people by calling them public servants. Big difference. Big. Thanks. God, I'm on my soapbox a lot. I need to shut up.
You also know.
I pay your salary. No, you don't. You don't have a job.
That this docket sheet is inaccurate. Every filing up until the point that I started representing.
He's going to talk about the capital letters and the not capital. Nobody cares. That's not a thing. Apparently, we've thrown grammar out the window. So
in a name that was represented by all capital letters, which is not my name. Nor has it ever been my name, nor have I ever seen that name or individual. Every single filing or paperwork was all in capital letters. Ever since September 29th, roughly around there, now everything starts to go to lowercase letters. Why is that? What prompted the sudden change? I still have filings that have all capital letters, which I state every time I come into your courtroom, Your Honor, that is.
We have apparently thrown grammar out the window when we got these. The little bricks we're carrying around. We don't use commas or end sentences with periods or use capital letters the way we used to. Grammar is gone. Grammar's gone. But really, Daryl,
Not my
really,
name, nor do I consent
not my
or
name.
agree to being called that name.
I don't
I'm
agree.
merely here as a third party
Intervener for my client. I say that
on
every
behalf
day.
of my client. Did I accept for value in return for value? We go through this every
Yes,
time.
we do.
Every time I come
Yes,
here.
yes, we do. You drag
Every
us
time.
through this every day. Oh my God. Drag us through the mud every day. You bringed it up.
Illinois versus Allen
Oh my God.
when we had the issue of me being removed from the courtroom.
Can we remove him now?
We went through that where Illinois versus Allen states that
Okay.
there are 3 options when a defendant is being disruptive in court.
So are you
You
admitting
stated for
to
the
it?
record that you identified a 4th one, which is not cited anywhere.
Illinois versus Allen was some case from the 70s. Technology has brought us light years beyond that, meaning that she can apply the technology. Perhaps they should have said it better and said, here's the technology available, any further technology. In fact, they do. They say at least. They say the words at least. Words in these law things, they're very important.
We're in that case. It's not cited anywhere. So the question would be, how did you come up with a 4th option that's not written in that case? Did you take it upon yourself to add this 4th option to
Yes.
justify?
Not to justify, to make it fair.
Denying me my constitutional right by being present? You could have done the 3.
No, she benevolently removed you from the. We think this person should just be gently removed from society and placed on the train tracks, Daryl. That's what we think.
That were stated. Any one of the 3 you could have done
Any one
that
of
were
the 3.
stated in the case.
Can we get the duct tape out
Nowhere
now?
does it say you can create a 4th option. Not upholding my constitutional rights.
Oh,
I'm sure you know
God.
about Title 18, USCS 2381, which states that it's treason
Oh, God.
not to uphold your oath of office. Treason.
You know, I used to hold a lot of power in some of the jobs I've had in the past. And I got a lot of criticism, like every day. If I wasn't being complained about, I probably wasn't doing my job. Because my job wasn't always easy. I had to go and tell people what they were doing wrong. And they loved coming to tell me what I was doing wrong. Okay, so I get that. I do. But this is what I came to really understand. And it was my friend Jay who put it in the most simple words possible. Oh, that would really hurt me if I had any respect for you. Daryl, I'm sure that you're accusing her of treason, which is ridiculous, would hurt her if she had any respect. Any. She doesn't. She doesn't. Go on.
You repeatedly make judicial determinations
Yes, that's her job.
that clearly prejudice in my defense.
That's not her
And
fault.
then when I question you about are you making judicial determinations, I'm repeatedly shut down.
No, you're ignored because it's a dumb question. Please shut him down. What is his? What does his
leads
hand
to-
say?
today.
Blow? Oh, God.
The constant push not to have an informed jury. Not giving legal valid grounds on objections. Not noting objections for the record to make sure that...
Hasn't she told him 2 times already that how objections are supposed to work? First of all, you object to questions. He objects to everything. He objects to answers. He objects to... Okay, if you don't like the answer, you cross-examine the person on the question. That's why you can bring up questions that they've already asked. Okay, then you say, okay, so I'm objecting to the question on the grounds of relevancy. I'm objecting to the exhibit on the grounds of relevant, or it's prejudicial, or it's this, or it's that. Okay, those are the grounds. And then you shut up and you let her decide whether it's fair or not. You don't... The other person doesn't start just yelling, grounds, 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 grounds. Okay? He also does this thing where he says the prosecution gets this stuff in so easy. Yes, because they know how to ask and what they're doing and how to present things. You are just... They walk in and do their job professionally. Daryl walks in with these papers and then he's just throwing them and it's flying everywhere.
That the record is clear. I'm sure somewhere in the jury instructions you informed them that the state of Wisconsin was bringing a claim. But then you make the judicial determination that I'm not allowed to ask questions about the plaintiff. That's clear bias. And it prejudices my defense. You know also that you have an electronic filing system. I find it hard to believe that I was told yesterday about my subpoena for the plaintiff that I had to wait for a filing in a timestamp when I've seen it done numerous times in just a few seconds right in front of my face. When the prosecution needs something filed, it's filed immediately.
Because it's done correctly.
I have to wait, or I have to wait till the next day. That's a clear bias and a clear prejudice to my defense.
Sounds like you're mucking it up.
Obviously, the court knows that I'm not privileged to the same filing system. Which brings me to the reason why I brought up the issue of assistance of counsel.
Oh, Jesus, here we go. We got some time left on this.
Under the Sixth Amendment, I have the right to assistance of counsel. It doesn't say anything about representing yourself without assistance of counsel. Having counsel represent you and having assistance of counsel is 2 totally different things. You, Your Honor, gave me paperwork that was a waiver of counsel. We both know that any contract can be altered if I don't agree to certain terms. I crossed out everything in that paperwork that I did not
had to accept
agree
it the
or
way
consent to, and
put it
specifically
in.
wrote
That's
on
why
that
she spent a
paperwork
whole
that I do
hour
not waive
redoing it
my
verbally.
right to assistance of counsel. At the very least, I should have been awarded a
Hire
standby
somebody.
counsel. Not someone to represent me, to speak for me, but someone to help me do things in a timely fashion. Get things filed in a timely
secretary.
fashion. Get motions together in a timely fashion.
A servant.
Make preparations to get things done that I don't have the privilege to do in my current situation of being housed at the Waukesha County Jail. I gave you back that paperwork and you accepted the paperwork that I altered.
She had to, legally.
That you understood that I didn't agree and consent to those things that were altered. You accepted it and you filed it.
So we only have a few more minutes.
That is in the record.
Oh my God.
I have copies of the same paperwork that you accepted. So when you accepted that, with no objection, that becomes a tacit agreement.
You can't object to a filing unless you're making it an exhibit.
But yet, I'm still forced to come in here with zero help.
She told you. That was in the hearing. Hire somebody.
I think it's clear.
He wanted this person provided. I think that's a distinction. Okay? You can hire anybody to do anything. Okay? And if you don't want them speaking for it, they're just sitting there doing your paperwork, sitting behind you, and you hand them paperwork to do. They got nothing to say about that, I don't think. But he doesn't want to pay for it. He just wants everything given to him. Freaking work for it. I mean, everybody, we all do. We all have to.
That prejudiced my defense.
Same thing about the Grinch. He's worse than a roach. At least a roach runs around and finds their own food. He just wants to sit there like a fat cat and have somebody drop it into his mouth. Do you want somebody to chew it up for you too? Ugh, he's starting to make me angry.
Knowing that the prosecution has everything that they need for this matter at their fingertips.
Yes.
And I have to jump through every hoop possible to even get things filed in a timely fashion.
Because you don't know what you're doing.
It was stated for the record
that
the unit that I'm housed in the Waukesha County Jail, and per jail administrator Angela Wallenhoff, that I'm only allowed out of my cell for a few hours a day. So I'm roughly locked down 22 hours a day. Not given the privilege to access everything that I should be able to at the time that I should be if I was general population. Arrangements could have been made months ago for me to be at least in some form general population with an upcoming trial. Reference was made to being able to use LexisNexis or whatever it's called. We call it the law library.
Law library.
The easier way to describe it. I'm only allowed to access the law library at certain times during the day. The rule of the jail is that when you're not in the day room, you can't access the law library, which is on tablets. We are not allowed to have those tablets in our cells. That prejudiced my defense. How can I work on my case? How can I look at certain case laws? How can I do any of this?
We're coming up to the end of this. Thank goodness. And pretty soon, Susan Opper is going to come back. She's going to be irritated, but she is going to come back and she's going to have case law to back up her annoyance, her response that comes with a side dish of "I'm really annoyed." So once that happens, she comes with this case law. It's glorious. It's what brings me back to respecting.
If I don't have full access to it.
They're taking a lot of abuse right now. So are we all. You can
I
choose
even
not to look at
suggested
this
some
too.
type of order that could be made by the court
So that
to
I could
allow
do
me more time out of my cell, or to
They should order some nail clippers.
talk to jail administration about allowing me more time out of my cell to be able to use those when needed. And to be frank, in a proceeding of this magnitude, there should not be even a time where I don't have access to the materials that I need.
Look through the
If I'm not
boxes.
in the courtroom or sleeping, I should be awarded the time to work on this case, seeing as how I only had a couple days to prepare for a trial of this magnitude. Which brings me back again to the change of venue again. Even right now with trial going on, there's still political ads being shown every day that reference this incident. There's still talk throughout the jail about it. There's been a ton of hate mail received to the jail since the beginning of this. It did die down for a little bit, but it picked right back up the closer we got to the trial. Hate mail that comes from people right here in the city of WAUKESHA.
Yeah, no shit. No shit.
Which
they don't like
gives
you, eh?
more credibility to the venue needing to be changed. Yet and still, that was denied.
Yet and still that denied. Moron.
It's impossible for impartial jury to be found in this county, and that's not to discredit people in the county that can be impartial. It would be unfair to say that no one can be impartial. That wouldn't be accurate.
That's what you kept said for the past hour.
That this whole incident has, the reporting, the Facebook groups, the constant, there were Facebook groups created because of this. The reporting live stream on Court TV has comment sections where a lot of insensitive and nasty things are said. The sheer insensitivity of some of the things that are said on there. I know a lot of people probably don't care about what I'm about to say, but it still needs to be said because it's truth.
It's true.
The fact of the matter is, that I have children too. Family too, loved ones too. That also have been ridiculed and had their names drugged to the mud and have threats towards them. Loved ones that had to leave their home because they were getting threats thrown through their mailbox. Children that didn't feel safe going to school because they were getting bullied behind what was being said.
I know who's going to have watched the whole thing if you comment on this. What am I doing back here?
And that's not to sweep anything under the rug whatsoever. To constantly say and report this incident as attack, terrorism.
They thought it was terrorism.
It's unfair and it's insensitive. It's a definite
Definite.
tragedy.
Definite tragedy.
Definite.
Oh, my God.
And that will never be swept under the rug.
You're trying. You're
There's
trying.
always going to be healing that has
Healing.
to take place.
A healing. Now he's preaching.
It's going to be difficult.
It's gonna be difficult.
And that should not be swept under the rug.
No.
Whatsoever.
Whatsoever.
But it's very insensitive and unfair to not recognize that there's many, many, many other victims that never is talked about.
That would be me. Me. I am the victim. Somebody stop him.
And for people to paint a certain picture, mostly from this county, to put this picture out there, it's not only hurtful, but it's insensitive, and it's not true. I'm sure the court read through the motion for
Can we go back to the paper that he was...
change of venue.
Oh my
I'm
God.
assuming, though it was a lot of paperwork in those motions. I think it was obvious
Obvious.
that the venue should have been changed. Obvious.
3 obviouses. 3.
It's too many connections and it's too close. It's too close.
I committed too many crimes in front of too many people who were all related. Yeah. It's obvious. What's going on under that mask, Daryl? I should have thought of this a long time ago.
If there was any chance for a fair trial
Ugh.
and an impartial jury, it should not have been in this county.
Oh my God.
But yet it was denied. Without any validity. 0. There's so much bias that's going on that
Oh my God, he picked it up again. Biases. This bias. Now that she's taught him how to say the word bias. And Daryl has learned so much. Is this what school is like?
and even with all this, for the record,
What a goblin. Oh my God. I'm not home.
we still have no proof of jurisdiction.
Oh God.
We still have no bond on file
Oh my God.
in the docket sheet. We still have no plaintiff. We still have no claim.
You know, people said that he was a good speaker, and I don't agree. A good speaker would have been concise. He would have wrote a thesis, and the thesis would have had those things listed. Then he would add a paragraph for each one, and then he would be done. He just keeps circling the drain here. Daryl. This rant also marks a turning point in the trial, I think, where he is going to really escalate. And more of it. This is ridiculous. But here, oh, mask on.
We're not sure
What is
of
he
the
doing?
relationship between you, Your Honor, and a father of one of the.
Is this the
people that was
summary?
injured. We're not clear on that relationship.
Holy shit.
No matter how well prepared the
She's
speech
gonna.
was,
Come on.
because it was
It was
prepared speech.
prepared. It was prepared.
obvious.
Obvious. Clearly.
Where's the proof?
Where's the proof?
I just asked that same question.
He obviously
Can
doesn't
an
have a
affidavit
KN95,
be
but
given that there is no bias, no conflict of interest, and no interest in the outcome of this case. There's no proof if you hold the full judicial power of the state, or is it the military power?
thank God. Woo!
Make your various arguments. You've now repeated yourself a number of times, so I'm going to turn to the state to see if they have any response.
All right, come on, Sue.
Go
Come
ahead.
on, Sue.
Thank you,
We're
Judge.
behind you.
Judge, I'm going to summarize what I just heard by quoting from a case from
Case law.
the Eastern District of Wisconsin,
Now she's gonna cite
federal
it.
case found at 2022 Westlaw 3045190.
Can you repeat that last
I'm
one?
so sorry. 3045190. Retzloff versus Moran. This case is talking about many of the topics that Mr. Brooks has now recited to the court, and simply states the majority of Retzloff's filing is incomprehensible jargon and cut and paste legal mumbo jumbo. Sovereign citizen theories are frivolous and wholly without merit. And the court goes on to cite to Bay, B-E-Y, versus the state of Indiana at 847 Fed 3rd 559.
Second case.
On pages 559 through 560, a Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals decision from 2017. Mr. Brooks knowingly
Interruption.
Nor do I know any individual by
Sir.
that name, Your Honor.
Please do the courtesy of not interrupting the state, as they did not interrupt you for over the almost 50 minutes that you spoke. Thank you. Please continue.
Your Honor, the record is very clear that Mr. Brooks knowingly, willingly, voluntarily, and intelligently insisted on representing himself in this trial. He has no constitutional right to stand by counsel, none whatsoever.
Provided him,
The
correct.
court patiently went through the form and advised him of many of the things he's complaining about here today: the resources of the state, the knowledge of the law, his ignorance of the law. And his words to this court, and I quote to the best of my ability, "It don't make me flinch one bit."
That's exactly what he said.
That's what he told this court,
2 weeks.
whatever it was, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Now he's here complaining over and over and over again how unfair this is to him. It's highly offensive.
Yes.
I don't know, because unfortunately I was talking to my investigator, if he accused this court of treason, but I certainly heard that word come out of his mouth, and it is absolutely shocking that he would throw such a word around so loosely in this courtroom. This court has been exceedingly patient, exceedingly respectful of his rights at every turn. At every turn. I want to address this claim that he only had 3 days to prepare for trial. It's absolutely a false statement. The record should reflect that he does have 3 banker's boxes on his table. The record should reflect that every time the state calls a witness to the stand, he swiftly and easily turns to those boxes, which appear to be alphabetized or organized in some fashion by the public defenders who turned it over to him, and quickly removes the folder of the witness who's testifying and effectively cross-examines that witness.
I'm going to interrupt you right here because there was someone who commented, and I apologize to you because I don't have the comments up to see who it was because there have been so many comments now. But they commented when he held up the paper and it had all the highlighting on it, and the person commented, you commented that he did not do that, that it was the attorneys who did it. And I think you're exactly right. That's exactly right. And he's got those in file. So he may not have read everything, but he certainly has an idea of what's in those boxes, and he goes through and they're all highlighted out for him. All the work is done for him. Once again, that's what he wants. I love her response. She obviously listened to what he was saying. She didn't, unlike me, us, I say us as if you're doing it too, but who were laughing and making fun of him, mocking him. They listened. They looked up case law. They organized an answer based on what he said. That just marks the difference between their professionalism and me clowning on the guy.
Using notes from the public defender. We know that because he's tried to confront witnesses with the notes from the public defender. He is not going into this blind or with one arm tied behind his back. They did all the homework, and he's simply sitting here reading their notes, reading their cross-examination questions, and asking the questions, and then going on to his ridiculous questions having to do with his belief in the sovereign citizen movement. There's no way this record would reflect that this defendant is not adequately prepared for trial. He's never asked for a speedy trial. He makes conflicting statements. On one hand, you violated his rights because it's taken us so long to get to trial. And on the other hand, we're rushing him to this case and he hasn't had adequate time to prepare. He is not denied access to legal materials in the jail. The record is very clear from the jail administrator. It should not be confused. He misleads this court intentionally to say, I only get out of my cell 2 hours a day. That is a fact. That is for his own safety so that other inmates do not inflict physical harm upon him.
Thank you.
He has access to a tablet. He has access to a computer. Whether he chooses to ask for those resources is up to him. I would also cite the court to U.S. ex rel. George versus Lane, Lane, 7th Circuit Court of Appeals at 718 Fed 2nd 226, where a pro se defendant attempted to complain on appeal about his lack of access to a computerized legal research system, paralegal training, or law school education. The court rejected that contention and said, once a defendant has asserted his right to refuse counsel and conduct his own defense, he has no constitutional right to access those resources. And again, you warned him, Judge. You fairly warned him. And he basically acted as if you were insulting him and said it didn't make him flinch one bit. Much of the last 50 minutes, which this court has graciously extended him the opportunity to go on and on and on, is nothing more than legal mumble jumble. He's reading from some typewritten transcript. I can see that from where I'm sitting. I don't know who's giving him these materials, but he has an agenda here. It's to stall, delay, disrupt, intimidate, and it's not going to work.
Every one of those is a narcissistic argument tactic. Go sue. Go sue Opper.
Thank you.
Objection to that.
And then his response.
That's a load of crap.
That's a load of crap. She could have said that about you, but she actually listened to what you said and very professionally put together an argument for each general piece of what you said while she is citing case law to back up her position. That is what a debate is. That is why these people are professionals. It's a load of crap as not a legal argument, and you don't get to talk right now. Go.
That's my opportunity now. I gave you about 50 minutes.
I just want to object
Shut up.
to
You don't object to that.
the disrespectful comment that was just
It was
made.
disrespectful.
I'm not trying to
I
hold
understand
you
what
up from
so
what
disrespectful
you're
to me.
gonna say, but that's a load of crap.
Okay, thank you.
For
It's
her
on
to
the record.
sit
Bye.
there-
Mr. Brooks.
For her to sit
your
there,
objection is noted.
for her to sit there, Your Honor.
It's my turn. Let me go through this. I graciously gave you 50 minutes to raise all these various points that you want to bring up. I then gave the state an opportunity to respond. That is the proper procedure. I followed decorum. I followed civility. I did not interrupt you.
Judge Toro's effort to teach him how to be halfway human. Pearl before swine.
The state did not interrupt you. Your objection to their characterization, it's noted for the record. I am going to render a decision at this point. Please listen, and please do not interrupt.
Put your hand down, Daryl.
As I indicated, the defendant spoke for about 50 minutes, raising a litany of complaints and issues and theories regarding his view of how this case has proceeded. Many of these issues, if not the vast majority or even all of them, have already been addressed by this court in one way or the other. Looking at, for example, his complaints about change of venue. It is true this court denied the change of venue motion. The court made a record at that hearing. I stand behind that record and that decision. The arguments made regarding that decision, which I would note he has yet to file an interlocutory appeal challenging that, are nothing more than speculative, without a basis in law or fact. To say that this jury is biased would be a complete miscarriage of justice and a mischaracterization of the process this court painstakingly took in order to obtain a fair and impartial jury. There is absolutely nothing on this record before the court throughout these proceedings to suggest that this is a biased jury. I stand behind my previous determination and the process that this court went through, including initially calling an unusually large panel for which the clerk of court's office sent the initial qualification questionnaire, and then ultimately a case-specific questionnaire was sent to approximately 1,400 jurors or potential jurors. There was ample opportunity for the parties throughout the proceedings leading up to the end of August to review those materials. There were numerous strikes for cause that this court entertained. Even prior to that specific hearing, the parties met, they conferred. The state agreed not to challenge the vast majority of the challenges to jurors brought by the defense. Then there was the hearing. Then this court, at jury selection, allowed for an indefinite number of strikes for cause. Many were granted, if not all. And then even on the day that the jurors were brought in, the court provided the jurors with a supplemental questionnaire dealing specifically with the issue of exposure to the political advertisements. And then each party had the opportunity to exercise 10 preemptory strikes, which is well above the number of strikes allowed for by statute, which would be 6 based upon the homicide charges, 1 extra for the alternates, which would be 7. But out of an abundance of caution and in the interest of justice, the court gave each side 10, for which many of those Mr. Brooks chose not to exercise, and then pursuant to state law, the clerk of court chose names to strike by lot. Again, there's nothing on this record before the court to suggest that this jury that we have is anything but fair and impartial. And I take issue with the characterization that they are anything but. They've been diligent, they take notes, they are attentive, they come to this court, as the case law says, there's a presumption that they come to the court without bias, and it's through the jury selection process that the parties and the court ferret out that bias. Many of the jurors who were brought in were struck for cause. Many others were not. But ultimately, we have a fair and impartial jury. As I listen to the litany of issues and arguments and complaints raised by Mr. Brooks, I would note that they are all unsubstantiated, conclusory allegations and assertions without an adequate basis raised in law and fact. There's been several misstatements by Mr. Brooks regarding either the record that's been made, items that's been provided to him, or the basis for the court either sustaining, I should say, or overruling objections, for an example. There's been a mischaracterization of his rights that he claims to have. As I have stated repeatedly, your constitutional rights are not absolute when you're in a criminal trial, meaning your First Amendment right is not unfettered. It is frankly no different why the case law is very clear. You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. No one has a First Amendment right to do that. In a criminal case, the parties have an obligation to follow not only the Constitution and the statutes that are applicable, but to follow criminal procedure, the rules of evidence. That is what circumscribes the rights that a defendant or the state has in a criminal trial. The issues you raise, for example, regarding subject matter jurisdiction are baseless, they're frivolous, and they're not anything this court needs to address further. The fact that you now are asking questions about whether this is admiralty court or a military court or a court of competent jurisdiction is frivolous. This court has jurisdiction over the criminal cases brought before it by the state of Wisconsin. In this particular case, these are allegations that criminal conduct occurred in the city of WAUKESHA. The city of WAUKESHA is within the county of WAUKESHA. This court sits as an elected official in the county of Waukesha to hear these types of cases. That is clear.
By the plaintiff, the people who elected them.
The only argument or relief that I could discern through the course of those 50 minutes was Mr. Brooks's request that this case be dismissed for lack of subject matter jurisdiction. And as I have just indicated, this court has jurisdiction. It's not been raised. Let me rephrase that. The issue has not even been raised properly. There's never been a written motion. There's never been even an oral motion that would comport with 80201, which requires that the basis for the relief being requested be stated with specificity and be based in law and fact. The vast majority of the points that you raise, sir, are issues that you can raise on appeal. It is true, you have a right to an interlocutory appeal. I would not be the judge to decide any of those issues. So the fact that you complain about what I do, it's noted. The record is going to be very clear. All right? I have a court reporter who's taking down the record of everything that is said and done in this courtroom when we are on the record. And so I don't have to all the time say it's noted for the record because we're on the record. I sometimes do that to hopefully make it clear to you or to note it. I don't always do that, but I'm not required to do that. You raise issues concerning, I guess, plea bargaining. I have never been made aware that you would want to change your plea in this case, and that you're not aware of the state wanting to do that. That is the first time any such issue has been raised, and I see it as a distraction and as simply a statement made by you as part of the litany of things that you are not perhaps pleased with. As far as my conduct in this case, I already addressed those issues. I'm not going to revisit issues related to my familiarity with the father of one of the victims. That was done very early on. I made a very thorough record, and I gave the parties at that point an opportunity to address that after they had ample time to digest that information. While it's true you have a right to seek substitution of judge, it is not unfettered. There was a time limit for that. In fact, it was exercised because a prior judge was assigned to this case, and your attorneys on your behalf exercised that right of substitution. So to say that you have the right to seek recusal at any time would be a misstatement of the law. And even if you think that should be exercised or there is a valid claim for that, sir, it's not been raised in the proper way before this court.
Okay.
This trial will keep going. I still expect the basic rules of civility and decorum to be followed. That includes, sir, that when there is an objection to a question that you ask, that you wait for the state to indicate their objection and the basis for it. If I need additional information, I will ask for it. If I don't need additional information, I will rule on it. And I do expect that even if you disagree with that ruling, that you will abide by it and that you will move forward. Whether that's asking a new question, rephrasing a question that you've asked, I do ask that you follow that simple rule of decorum. And that's you not interrupt, and then you follow the rules of procedure. As far as the other issues you raise concerning your right to assistance of counsel, the record before this court over the many days that that topic has been raised, even going back to the 2 afternoons of hearings this court held, I will not revisit those.
Okay.
I believe I honored your request to represent yourself as is required by the Constitution of not only the United States of America, but the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin. And that you made a very deliberate choice after being fully advised and aware of all the requirements that I needed to go through under the case law, both case law in the state of Wisconsin and case law from the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals, which not only guides this court, but this court must follow. I agree with the state and would draw your attention to the 2 cases that were cited. United States ex rel. George versus Lane found at 718 F. 2nd 226, and Retzlaff versus Moran, found at 2022 Westlaw 3045190.
Bet he won't.
I let you put on the record all of those points in order to give you that opportunity to make a full record of the issues that you have believed that you are entitled to raise. But those sovereign arguments regarding written findings of fact, bill of particulars, regarding contracts that you enter into, regarding admiralty court, etc., they're baseless, sir. And this court need not address them further. Now, with that, I know it's 11:30, but I would like to get one more witness on before at least we break for lunch. The jury, of course, has been out for quite some time. So I'll instruct Madam Clerk to bring the jury out.
For the record, Your Honor, you didn't bring up the Higgins-Levine 415 U.S. 533 decision. That was not addressed, and the issues are still not addressed. There's still been no proof to anything that you said, anything that the prosecution has said. There still hasn't been.
Is noted, and we will continue. Bring the jury out, please.
There still hasn't been
Mr. Brooks,
any proof.
I've addressed them
There
to the
still
extent
hasn't
that
been
I
any
will.
proof. There still hasn't been any proof. I never once. The comment about me not flinching was when you said that there's 66 years of experience at that table. That's the comment I said that doesn't make me flinch. That was mischaracterized. That should be for the record. There's still been no proof.
Mr. Brooks, please stop. I'm not going to address whether there's verified proof or not of jurisdiction,
Because
whether
it's not.
there's anything along those lines. It is frankly not required under the law. You may disagree with that. You can take that up on appeal, whether that's an interlocutory appeal or whether that's a direct appeal if there is a conviction. But I'm not going to address it any further.
Because there's no verified proof.
Oh my God,
It
he
does
never
not
stops.
need to be, sir. All right, I
does
believe the
need to
jury
be.
is coming out. Is that true?
In order for a case to
All right. The
To
record
go
should
on, there should
reflect
be
that the
proof.
jury is coming out, and we are about to.
We did it. This was a long one. I can understand if you don't watch the whole thing. I do get it. This was 2 hours. Okay, if you guys want to contribute, remember there's a link to their permanent fund. I think that is still up and running. I check it every couple of weeks or so. Thank you so much for your comments. Maybe I should have broke this one up into, I don't know, but I'm sure you'll break it up for yourself. All right. Thank you for joining me. Like, subscribe, comment, dislike, whatever you want to do. Have a great day.